The Atlanta Falcons stand at a crossroads. For weeks into the season, the story isn't about what we already know, it's about what's still hidden beneath the surface. Behind the walls of Flowery Branch, something is stirring. Quietly, almost in the shadows, this team has been building a defense that feels different, dangerous, and unlike anything Falcons fans have seen in over 30 years. But let's not sugarcoat it, this season hasn't been smooth. Injuries have left us holding our breath, questioning whether this roster could truly hold up against the NFL's toughest tests. Position battles are burning hotter than ever, and the upcoming stretch of the schedule? It's no cakewalk. It's a gauntlet. And here's the truth, this isn't just another Falcons season. This is the moment where pretenders fall apart and contenders rise. The bye week is gone. The excuses are gone. The spotlight is about to get hotter, and the margin for error thinner. Atlanta's defense is rewriting the narrative, but the question isn't whether they're good, it's whether they're ready for what comes next. Monday Night Football looms against Buffalo, a battle that will test every inch of this roster. The Falcons are stepping into the fire. And for the first time in decades, it feels like they might just come out forged into something powerful. The story of this season starts here, with health, with grit, and with the players who refuse to let this team fade into the background. Injuries. They've haunted the Falcons for years, but this time around, the story feels different. Coming out of the bye week, the questions hanging over this roster aren't just about who's hurt, they're about who's ready to step back into the fire when the lights shine brightest. At the top of that list? A.J. Terrell. Atlanta's lockdown corner. The heartbeat of this secondary. For the last 2 weeks, fans have watched games without him, holding their breath with every opposing throw, knowing how different this defense looks when number 24 isn't on the field. But now, the whispers are turning into hope. Terrell is trending toward a return, and the coaching staff believes he's the one player they can count on to suit up in the biggest moment yet, Monday Night Football against Buffalo. Think about that. The Falcons, walking into prime time, staring down one of the league's most explosive passing attacks. And right when they need him most, A.J. Terrell might be there, locking down receivers and setting the tone for this defense. Without him, the Bills could feast. With him? It's a fight. But Terrell isn't the only storyline. Darnell Mooney, who's had a frustrating start to the season, is battling his own hamstring issue. The fear was that he might miss time, but the outlook has shifted, he's expected to keep playing. That's a lifeline for an offense starting to click, an offense that needs every weapon available if it's going to keep pace in the weeks ahead. Then there's Natron Brooks. His hit last week was the kind that stops a stadium cold. Concussion protocol is no joke, but here's where fortune smiled on Atlanta, the bye week came at exactly the right time. No games missed. No momentum lost. If Brooks clears every step, he'll be back in time for Buffalo, rested, focused, and ready. The trenches are also shifting. Storm Norton's practice window could open soon, which sparks a fascinating battle at right tackle. Do you stick with Elijah Wilkinson, who just played his best game in a Falcons uniform, or do you slide Norton back into his old spot? That's the kind of problem coaches dream of, two linemen competing at their peak, both ready to protect the quarterback. Other names hover in the background, Troy Anderson, Taquan Graham, wildcards with the potential to swing this roster if they return in time. But there's caution here. Knee procedures and long-term injuries aren't things you rush, not when the season's grind is still ahead. And then there's the toughest story of all. Brolin Trice. Another knee setback, the same injury that stole his rookie year. For him, it isn't about weeks or months. It's about uncertainty. His future is clouded, and for now, Atlanta must prepare to move forward without him. But here's where everything comes together. Despite the injuries, despite the doubts, despite the names on that list, this defense has done something no Falcons unit has pulled off since 1991. And that's where the story turns. Because what they just accomplished might be the spark that changes everything. Think about that for a moment. That was the last time the Atlanta Falcons pulled off what this defense has just done. 4 straight games holding opponents under 170 passing yards. In today's NFL, that's almost unthinkable. This is a league built for quarterbacks. Every rule, every trend, every offensive system is designed to light up the scoreboard. Teams expect to throw for 250, 300 yards every week without breaking a sweat. But for 4 straight games, the Falcons have slammed the door shut. 4 straight games where passing attacks looked helpless, or opposing quarterbacks walked off the field with frustration written across their faces. Of course, the critics are circling. Look at who they played, they'll say. A rookie like J.J. McCarthy making his second start. Bryce Young, still trying to find his rhythm. Marcus Mariota, a backup. And sure, those aren't MVP candidates. But here's the truth, elite defenses don't just play well against weaker competition, they bury them. They dominate. They make life miserable for young quarterbacks and backups, leaving no room for confidence, no chance for rhythm. That's exactly what Atlanta has done. And let's not forget Week 1. Baker Mayfield, who's quietly been one of the top quarterbacks in the league this season, ran into this Falcons defense before he caught fire. Atlanta kept him under control, sending an early message that this unit isn't built on smoke and mirrors, it's real. The numbers prove it. Second in the entire NFL in opponent yards per game. 14th in points allowed. 11th in sacks. 7th in takeaways. 9th in sack percentage. However you measure it, this is a top 10 defense. Let that sink in. Falcons fans haven't been able to say that in 2 decades. 2 decades of waiting. 2 decades of being the team that gave up the big play instead of making it. That narrative is crumbling. Now, were they perfect against Washington? No. 27 points allowed, nearly 300 yards surrendered. But here's the beauty of it, that game was considered a disappointment. A season high of 294 yards is suddenly the standard for frustration. That alone tells you how far this unit has climbed in just 1 year. This is no longer the same Falcons defense that fans dreaded watching. This is a group that plays with physicality, with confidence, with belief. They create turnovers. They sack quarterbacks. They make game-changing plays. And with A.J. Terrell likely coming back into the fold, this unit may not have even hit its ceiling yet. But here's where reality kicks in. The true test hasn't even begun. The next stretch isn't about rookies or backups, it's about facing elite quarterbacks, explosive offenses, and primetime pressure. What happens when this defense stares down a heavyweight? That's the question that will define this season. The warm-up is over. The real season begins now. The Falcons sit at 2-2, balanced on the edge of possibility, but the next 2 weeks will tell us everything. Monday Night Football in Buffalo. A cross-country flight to face San Francisco. No more rookies. No more backups. No more teams trying to figure out who they are. These are heavyweights, Super Bowl contenders with rosters stacked top to bottom, with quarterbacks and playmakers who can tear a defense apart in the blink of an eye. It starts with the Bills. Josh Allen is the kind of quarterback who can make a defense look foolish even when it plays everything right. His arm strength, his mobility, his ability to extend plays, he's a walking stress test for any secondary in football. And on the biggest stage, with the nation watching, he's going to come after Atlanta's defense with everything he's got. This will answer the million-dollar question, can the Falcons' historic start against the pass hold up against one of the NFL's most dynamic stars? Then comes San Francisco, a different kind of monster. Even with their injuries, the 49ers are built on discipline, execution, and versatility. They can win in the trenches. They can control the tempo. They can spread the ball to weapons everywhere, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. This isn't about surviving mistakes, it's about matching perfection with perfection. This stretch isn't just football. This is a crucible. This is where playoff teams separate from hopefuls, where a defense that looks historic on paper proves whether it can rise under the brightest lights. The bye week bought time. Injuries are healing. Adjustments have been made, moving the play caller to the sideline was a spark, and we saw flashes of how the offense can respond. The foundation is there. The momentum is building. But here's the truth, none of it matters unless Atlanta executes when the stage is at its biggest. Monday Night Football in Buffalo isn't just another game. It's a statement game. Win that, and the national media won't be able to look away anymore.
Win that, and suddenly you walk into San Francisco with swagger, with momentum, with proof that the Falcons aren't just a feel-good story.
They're real. They're dangerous. They're contenders. The easy part of the schedule is gone. The excuses are gone. The next chapter begins now.
And every fan, every player, every coach knows the weight of what's at stake.
The Falcons are about to step into the fire. The only question is, will they rise from it stronger?